start with Ira in the middle.
Obviously, you've seen a lot of the veterans play in that stadium before, on the big, huge stages. But what did you see from some of the younger guys? I mean, obviously Brock and young receivers, and but you have young linemen too. What did you see out of the younger guys?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing we want to see is growth, you know, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for growth from practice 1 to practice 14. And what I saw was guys, you know, starting to understand situation, you know, in a small thing, like even with the O-line, from understanding the down the distance of the stance they're in, from Brock understanding what he can and can't do. I saw him take some check downs to get some first downs, which is good, understanding the situations. You know, we also had some things that we got to work on, but all those young guys, what we're looking for is just growth and being a ball player, picking up the offense, and understanding how to operate in situations. That's the main thing. But what I saw some quarterback taking a check down, which is big. I saw receivers getting to the sticks and getting first downs. We still had a couple of deals with like knowing when to throw it away, knowing when we got to, you know, kind of tuck tail and just take it is for it is and not take big losses and things like that, whether a guy bust or we didn't get a check and things like that. So you just can't create those situations until they're in them. So as much as we can keep doing that in progress, but I like the progress because, you know, the first scrimmage we had a lot of TFLs and things that we didn't have to have. I saw us advance the ball, and every drive wasn't a touchdown and things like that, but I saw us advance the ball and get out of some tough situations, which I was proud of that.
Next will be Essen over here to your left, front row.
Taking back on that, you mentioned, you know, you get one more practice. That's not a lot of programs that when they have a spring game showcase and then have a practice after. So what kind of opportunity is that for you guys to grow and teach and, you know, go into the offseason this summer and be able to be ready for that after this?
Yeah, it's practice 14 in reality, you know, so we want to get that in and still have a practice of correction. So now we can go back, get it corrected, and one more time and go correct some things, which is the goal, is just, like we said, growth. So, you know, we did the same thing. That's kind of how we've operated here. We always have that practice after it. I think it's good because now you go back, review the film, grade it, have a meeting, and then go out there and correct things that you saw from the spring game. But most of the time, you kind of just is what it is. You get the meetings and you kind of roll. But I like having that practice to go back, watch it, and evaluate the tape just like you would at a game, and then go out there and get to be correct, make some more corrections.
All right, next will be Brendan, second row to your left.
You spoke highly about your drop there earlier this spring, and you had a really good day again today. I guess what have you seen from him throughout the entire spring? How big has it been that he's been so consistent through 14 practices now?
What you see, the confidence from the quarterbacks trusting him. So he gets run coverage, they're going to him, because that's how much belief he's giving those guys. But you know you're doing a good job is when it's a critical situation and the QB looks for you. You know, when you're getting that man coverage, that single coverage, and now the quarterback got to make a decision, and he's going to draw. So, you know, to have that confidence in him shows where he's at right now, and he makes the plays. You know, so it's one thing to go to a guy if he's not making the plays, but Tron is making the plays. So, you know, I don't want to, you know, we've seen this all spring, though. You know, I think we've had multiple times with multiple offensive coaches that brought up his name. You know, and we talk about that true development, that position man from a guy that got in here and had to fight through, whether it be, you know being behind on the depth chart, you know, other new guys coming in. He just kept fighting, and he's going to get to showcase what he can do and showcase his talent.
All right, next will be Logan, one row up.
What have you seen from C.J. Campbell this spring, not going to also the spring showcase? What have you seen him being a really high competitor, it seemed like, throughout this game?
Yeah, CJ, you know, he always had a chip on his shoulder. You know, anytime you get a walk-on guy that comes into Florida State, he always going to have something about him that he know he got to climb up to the top. And to see his, like, to go through what he went through last year with the injury and bounce back, the good thing about it is when you see him have success, you see the team respond. And that's when you know that they ride for him and they know what he's been through. And also, CJ is instrumental on so many things, whether it be recruiting, whether it be, you know, just positive morale, all that, man. He's done a phenomenal football job. But so to see him run hard and have that toughness is in his DNA because, I mean, you walk on and go to a guy that's getting carries with the one group. I mean, think about that struggle and that time. So I like what, you know, CJ brings. I got like tearing up for it. Go ahead.
Next will be Ben, over toward the middle.
Hey, Coach. I just wanted to ask you about the veteran leadership on this team, especially on this offense. You guys have brought in a lot of new young players, guys who could be contributors for you coming up. Just, you know, guys like Jordan, guys like, you know, John and Trey, guys who have been here for a year now. How have you seen them rubbing off on these younger guys who are coming in and trying to make a name for themselves?
Yeah, veteran leadership shows in uncomfortable conversations because there's a lot of pride and ego out there with the type of recruits we brought in, the level they are, and the guys we brought in with the older guys. So when you see an older guy make a correction to a young guy, that young guy's response tells us where the relationship is. That's the reality of it. Like, if that guy snaps back at him, that means they haven't developed a relationship. The first key to leadership is relationship, because now you know the person that's getting on you shows that they have a relationship with you. You understand what I'm saying? So what I like about it is when you see our older guys, whether it be Maurice Smith getting on Julian Miller, whether it be Jordan getting on a receiver on a route or making a wrong deal, when you see a Tron getting on Deuce, when you see these things and there's no argument or bittering or back and forth on the sideline, and you have a little bit of confrontation because we're all in the moment, but when you see that, then you know their relationship off the field is growing on the field, because when a player corrects a player in an uncomfortable situation, emotional situation, and they see that player's face, there's a respect level of eyes, like, I know if he's saying it really means something to him. So we got to continue to build that. That's going to take some time. We got some new guys here. We also got to get some guys some confidence to lead. Like, I'm like with Jaheim Bell, he's come in and just went to work. So he's earning that respect, and you see him, maybe not being a feature, but he just, like he's buying into it, so he'll continue to earn that respect, and he can be a leadership role, because I like the way he goes about his business. So, just having that real relationship off the field has been a benefit for us.
Right. Aslan?
You mentioned 14 practices now to mix and match and evaluate what you have on the offensive line. How do things change now with the amount of data you've had, looking at these guys over 14 practices as a talent evaluator, as a team builder? How do things change for you once the offseason hits and trying to configure these 5 guys to get them the best fit?
Oh, yeah, man. It's not difficult at all, because, number one, the room makes those selections. Like, we know who's taking care of business. We know who is putting in the work consistently and daily. So I think, the first thing is we had a couple of new guys coming in. We got some guys that's going through their first off season. Like Julian, this is his first off season. Sapp, this is his first off season. Jalen Earl, this is his first off season. Then you add JB, KJ, and all these other guys, and Casey. Like, this is the first time going through the offense. So what we're building here is the identity of what we want to be, knowing who we are, how we work, picking up the offense. Then we'll start figuring out that 5 based upon the information that we've collected of what we saw consistently day in and day out. But, it's a good problem to have, because we got a lot of guys that play a lot of snaps, but also, those snaps are in the past. Now is what you're doing here lately. And that's what I love about, coaching this position is all that stuff goes away. Those snaps gain experience, but, it's about what you did today. And that's what's going to make the determining factor. So you still got to bring it every day and still continue to prove, or you can get lapped too. So it's fun to create a competition, but I think the continuity is starting to show up as we go back and watch it and see who's making the less mistakes, who's in position, and things like that. And it started to clear up once we get probably about that 3rd week of camp.
Go back to Ira in the middle.
With all the guys you guys had coming back this season, all the veterans who played a lot, Coach talked earlier about they need to have that same edge that they had last year. Now that everybody's talking about them, what have you seen now that you've been through several months since the end of last season in the spring, in terms of like those older guys, not just being back, but really trying to go to another level?
They don't have a choice, really. Coach creates an environment of improvement. Even looking at this room, we have our goal boards up and things like that. Like, it's just they have no choice. I remember leaving the second scrimmage, he challenged the coaches on just making sure our older guys are taking that next step. That's what he was looking for in particular, to make sure they were straining it to get that 1% better. So when the coach creates that, it gives you a chance to set the examples for the other guys. Like, man, look how he's coaching Jordan, look how he's coaching Johnny, look how he's coaching Trey. Like, I better be on top of my game, because if he's coaching him like that, I ain't even had a carry yet in the game. So, it creates that environment of improvement. So I also like to go back to the first question of leadership. If we don't have that from in the locker room, and that push and that desire, and it's got to be coach-led, we're going to have a lot more problems than we bargained for anyway. So we got to, we've done a good job of establishing a culture of improvement and accountability. So we just got to make sure we're taking that next step to keep bleeding in ears as we keep adding people to the roster.
Kurt?
Today felt like, as big examples we've seen, just the depth y'all have kind of gradually built, really on both sides of the ball. You can talk about the offensive line and the offense as a whole. Just what's that do? Having that level of functional depth, and kind of reaping the rewards of those years of work now.
Yeah, man, I tell my guys, one of the best D-lines you're going to face in the country is the one we see every day. So, you can go out there and compete with those guys and keep getting them better. And then they tell us, I was on the sideline with Jared, he's like, well, them boys getting better. Because, you know, he was out there with that first game, like, man, I'm doing it a little difficult out here. So I think that we're creating that competition with building our fronts. And if you watch us play ball, man, we're gonna play through the fronts. We're not an edge team, you know, culture and how we play and how we play physical. So, you know, if you come back to practice and watch the drills, we do a lot of half line, you know, we do a lot of one-on-ones, we do a lot of, you know, toughness type drills, and it's starting to pay off. And it's also clean drills. We still got guys, you know, going in the spring. They started in the spring, they're still going now. But that's the thing, you see a lot of these spring practices, guys out there like that. I thought we've done a good job of attacking each other and getting that toughness, but still keeping each other off the ground, staying up and playing fast. So we're learning how to take care of each other too and not take cheap shots. So, you know, it's just good. It's going the way it should be going when you're going into this year forward. We just got to make sure we keep that daily growth and that mind focus of what it's got to be moving forward with daily growth. And that's got to be the mentality. If we don't, it'll show us, you know, those flaws and those skeletons will come out if we're not attacking it that way.
I've got time for two more. Essen over here on the left.
As a coaching staff, you guys always talk about the response, but how great was it to see Brock Glenn, after, you know, first couple series didn't go his way, to come back in that final, one of the final series and get that score? How big was it for the freshman to do that?
I mean, and we got to show that confidence in the package that we're sending into them. Like, hey, just because you did that, we're not going to go out here and run, you know, ISO 6 plays in a row. Like, we still believe in, you know, a couple of balls sailed on me as some guys, but to come out there and attack it again and go out and have a touchdown drive, that just shows who he is and what he's about. And that response we're talking about, even like with Rodney, he had one, he put on the ground, fourth down, and I said, man, you got to come back, and he came in with some tough runs there toward the end with great ball security. So that's what the practice is, like, man, learning from those mistakes and creating those environments of response. And like Coach always says, we gonna respond. Now we want to swing first. We don't want to be 2 minute responses, but when bad stuff happens, we got to make sure we have the mindset to keep swinging and keep going. But that's what you got to have when you get in those close games, man. And, you know, you got to keep swinging.
All right, last one will be Chris, front row to your right.
After 14 practices, how do you feel about the quarterback 2 competition, how those guys have elevated that returnees, and how Brock handled his
It's going to be
first
fun to
game?
watch. You know, it's going to be fun to watch because we got some guys in that room that have some good talent and starting to pick it up. And I saw some flashes out there. So, you know, we're going to really see those competitive juices start to come out and start to flow and showing up in moments where it needs to show up. You know, so, you know, I think we got guys that's going to embrace it and go get it. You know, so I can't wait to see the growth from when they get this film to what they do the next practice and moving forward throughout the summer. Because they know what it is now, they know what it got to be. So I'm excited to watch.
All right, thanks, Coach.
No problem.
Thanks, Alex.